Live from Penn State's campus, this is Nittany Talk. I'm Olivia Ostnamer, and today's episode we're going to be talking about politics in our new segment, Politics Panel, discussing game day must-haves before the Penn State whiteout game, and hear from women's soccer in a special out-of-studio interview. Now, let's get to talking. Welcome back to Nittany Talk. My co-hosts Jace Obardo, Paloma Frount, Jeremy Laguerre, Francie Ebert, and I will be discussing the upcoming midterms, President Biden, and the current state of democracy. Anyone have any predictions for the midterms?
Yeah, I'll take this first. So the PA midterms are something really big. There's a PA, Ohio, Georgia. Those are three big states with midterms right now, Wisconsin. And so right now we have, in Pennsylvania, we have Dr. Oz and John Fetterman running for Senate. Right now, Fetterman's ahead of Oz by 3 points compared to Doug Mastriano and Josh Shapiro. I can't talk. Shapiro has a 10-point lead against Mastriano. So right now, I'm thinking that Shapiro is going to win the governor's race, and then Oz is going to win Senate. It's to be debated, but I think that's how it's looking right now.
I agree. I also think that a lot of people feel that Mastriano is also very extreme. I think that he's associated very closely to his strong religious views, and he's very anti COVID regulations, and that can go either way. I mean, there's a lot of people in the state that are ready to really put all of COVID behind. There's a lot of people that you still see wearing masks, that you still see really caring about the topic. I think abortion is a huge, huge debate this year. And he's made it pretty clear where he stands. He does not support abortion. But then there's Shapiro, who is more lenient about it. He said that he is willing to support abortion rights up to 21 weeks of conception, I believe, and not 23, and then 24 and over if the mother's life is at risk. And I think that when people are choosing in between, they're going to go the more neutral route, right? The more neutral way, then they will go to the extreme right.
Right,
so I agree.
That's what I'm surprised about for Mastriano, because conservatives are a very limited government, and for him to be totally against abortion, I think it's a little bit out of touch with conservative ideals, even though he's very religious.
Mm-hmm. And kind of going off of that, in general, we've seen, the heated debate about abortion, especially in the summer when Roe v. Wade was overturned. Right now, though, currently 26% of Americans are more focused on the economy when they're, voting, and then 18% inflation and only 5% abortion. So it'll be interesting if abortion's really going to be that significant in the upcoming midterms.
Yeah, going back to Doug Mastriano, I think it's going to be hard to kind of back him as a candidate for voters because, he was involved in things like the January 6th insurrection, and he's a very controversial candidate. He also has supported people who have ties to QAnon, which is a conspiracy theory group. And I think it's going to be hard for voters this November to back a guy like that. He's not as moderate. He's more far right, some people would say. So I think it's going to be harder for voters to, back someone who is that extreme. And I think voters want someone who's more moderate this November.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think, so Donald Trump backed Dr. Oz and Doug Mastriano, and I'm kind of iffy on that because right now a lot of people view Donald Trump as the head of the Republican Party, and I just don't think that's true. And so when he backs these candidates, all people see is Trump. And like right now, people are saying these are midterms. This isn't the presidential election, so we shouldn't be worrying about Trump. But when he's backing these candidates, you're basically putting someone who Trump has backed into office.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, Trump has bolstered numbers for candidates like J.D. Vance and Herschel Walker. You know, his endorsement is really helping those candidates out. So even though I think the Republican Party is trying to move away from Donald Trump, I think that we can still see it's clear that Trump is still having a huge influence on the party, and I think his endorsement is really going to help any candidates he chooses to endorse this season.
Yeah, and I think we'll get into a little bit later, but
yeah. So, any candidates that you guys see you believe aren't really qualified for the position? I mean, we were talking about Trump. He clearly still has an influence. Any of those candidates that are running, do you think they deserve to be there?
Well, I don't think Dr. Oz is a good fit for Senate, and let me tell you why. You know, we saw with Donald Trump, you know, I kind of see Dr. Oz and Donald Trump kind of in the same vein. They're kind of experts in their field who became TV personalities and then decided to run for office. And me personally, I just don't think that I really want to see those kinds of candidates in office anymore. You know, we saw with Trump, you know, it was, to say, kind of a chaotic presidency. And I don't really, and if Dr. Oz is going to bring that kind of same energy, you know, to the Senate, not really sure if I really want that.
Yeah.
And a lot
I kind of disagree with that because I don't think that Dr. Oz is like Trump. Yeah, they have kind of like the same Hollywood background, but you look at someone like Ronald Reagan, he was a very successful president and he had that background. So I don't think having someone in office who doesn't come directly from politics is a bad thing. I think people just see Donald Trump and they think, oh, he's this big guy who, you know, is very outspoken and they don't necessarily agree with him.
Yeah, and I'm just going to jump in here. So clearly we've seen Congress is dominated by the Democrats right now. So this is why it's a really big deal. This can really impact Biden's future coming in the next 2 years of his presidency. But looking at the past year and a half, 2 years, how do we think that Biden has done, you know, ruling the country? What do we think?
I think that it's inevitable. Like, we can't sit here and act like majority of America is viewing him under a positive light right now. If you look at his disapproval rates back in 2021, people were way lower. I believe it was, haven't read, 36% of people disapproved. Now it's 50.
53
actually.
Yes.
So that's a huge amount of people. That's a lot more people who are now disapproving of him. And I think that there is reason why. I think that you look at, you know, nobody's saying that in the past he may not have been a good politician, but I think that with age, a lot of other factors come along. If you see, I think a lot of people are viewing him as weak. And I think that being the U.S., being the country that other countries are looking at, you want somebody that looks strong. Mm-hmm. And nobody's saying that Trump was that, but I just don't think that people are going to vote for him again. I think that most people don't like seeing him at the White House anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's a strong president. I mean, if you look at the simple things like, yeah, maybe Donald Trump was very outspoken, but Putin never messed with the United States when Donald Trump was in office. When Biden got in there, he went in and invaded Ukraine, and I just don't think he's a strong leader. It's that simple.
What I think is happening right now is that this inflation problem is really reflecting on his presidency.
Yeah.
So we had COVID in the beginning, and all of a sudden we have this trend, right? And the oil, gas prices are going up, and citizens don't want to have to pay more than they already have to do.
Inflation's at 13.5%. That's the highest it's been in 40 years.
It's ridiculous.
And at the end of the day, I think people are voting with their wallets. There are people who can't afford groceries, they can't afford to fill up their gas tanks, and that's a direct reflection on Joe Biden. So.
Well, I think we're being unfair to Joe Biden. You know, he inherited a very chaotic country. I mean, just 2 weeks before he got inaugurated, there was an insurrection at the Capitol, and COVID was in full swing still in early 2021. So let's not act like it's been smooth sailing for him the whole way. I mean, I think he's made great progress in terms of slowly getting us out of the pandemic. Now, yes, that came with economic downsides, but the economic downsides aren't just seen in the United States. It's being seen across the world. We're seeing these, you know, economic economic downturns across countries all over the world. So yes, I don't think it's a good thing, but I think it's unfair to pin all of this on Joe Biden, if that makes any sense.
Right, and really quickly, democracy is weakening in this country as the days go on. Freedom House reported that we dropped 10 points in the democracy scale in just 10 years. What do we think is causing this?
I think it's just censorship. We have these big media outlets, and they are owned by big corporations, right?
Right.
So they're saying whatever, and it's just misinformation. They're sharing things that, what do we believe? What can we believe? What can we say? What is right? What is wrong? And this is when technology comes into play, and it really messes up.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment today. For more information, on voting registration, please visit www.vote.org. Next up, we will learn about the Penn State game day must-haves are just in time for the Penn State whiteout. For Nittany Talk, I'm Olivia Osnamer.
Prepared at all. There is a video of me soaked like a little drowned rat. I was not prepared at all. I was not paying attention to the weather, and so
I think it's rewarding to 1v1 defend, to block crosses, to block shots. I think it's a very selfless position, and I think that sometimes is more meaningful than.
Welcome back to Nittany Talk. I'm Katherine Schreiner, and today we will be talking about our game day must-haves. So Sadie, what are some of your must-haves?
Honestly, this game's whiteout, so I think every girl, even guys, should have a tie-to-go stick. We are all going to be tailgating, we're all going to be partying right before the game at 7:30, and that is a long day to go with stains all on your white gear. And speaking of white and stuff and everything, just hurting, ibuprofen. Everyone needs to carry ibuprofen, keep the swelling down and the energy up. So speaking of that, Ashley, what do you think you need to have the energy up during whiteout?
Well, no matter what, I think you need some type of heavy jacket because it is going to be cold. I mean, I was freezing just walking up here today. I mean, I need my gloves, I need my jacket, I need a hat, I need all of that. And especially if you want to be able to take pictures and text your friends, you need a fully charged phone. You don't want your phone to die in the middle of the game because I know that always happens to me and it sucks. Elle, what about you?
So kind of going off of what you said about having the warm gear, I'm very proud about my big bag of hand warmers I have. That's going to be a necessity, especially for this upcoming night game. You're going to need those, especially with those gloves. You stick them right in there and you're going to be set. But I also agree with the Tide stick. It's definitely going to be important. I know I'm a messy person. I enjoy eating, especially that buffalo chicken dip.
Yeah.
That leaves a good stain.
That gets everyone. Everyone's talking about warm clothes. Has anyone looked at the weather? 68 degrees is the high. But we all know in Happy Valley, as soon as it hits 5 p.m., we're going to be freezing in the winter clothes.
Of course.
So I don't know. I'm hoping tailgating's warm and fall weather for the game day, maybe. What does everyone else think?
It's the night game, so I'm bringing my coat and my hat. I don't care. I'm going to be cold. I'd rather have too much stuff and then be sweating and take it off than be too cold.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that.
I'll have extra hand warmers on me, for my friends, just for me, just to make sure that everything is fine. I know some other things that I'm going to be bringing with me is a poncho. I learned so hard from that last game. I was not prepared at all. There is a video of me soaked like a little drowned rat. I was not prepared at all. I was not paying attention to the weather, and so I will definitely have a poncho on me just in case it starts raining. It's always just randomly raining here, so.
Yes, definitely Pennsylvania weather.
Yes.
You need to bring summer clothes, spring clothes, fall clothes, winter clothes just for one game day because it can change like that. And we've all learned. I mean, last year it started snowing in the middle of the Michigan game. I was so unprepared. So I will always layer from now on. I will never be that unprepared.
I know. Even as how much I hate being hot, I don't know.
I'd rather take it off.
Yeah. I know. At least I can take it off and I can be cold. I'd rather be too cold than be too hot, but I still need to make sure that I have all of those necessities just in case. I don't want to be miserable during the game. Yeah. I mean, you also have to have your water and your drinks. You need to have be fluid.
Water.
You need to be hydrated because you don't want to be losing your spot. It is a whiteout game, so it is going to be crazy packed. And you know there are going to be people sneaking into the student section, even if adults and stuff. So you don't want to lose your spot, so don't move and make sure that you have your drinks and your snacks and everything that you're going to need so you don't need to go to the concession stand at all and wait in that long line.
Yeah. That's really smart. An unpopular opinion, I always take like paper towels like in my jean pockets or something.
Yes, I do that.
To
so
dry
smart.
off the bleachers when it comes to halftime. We finally all get to sit, have a nice warm spot to sit. So it's very unpopular, but paper towels or napkins is really smart to get.
I think something else that we need to take into consideration is the type of shoes. We're gonna need some warm
Comfy
socks because I
shoes.
know our toes are gonna be a little cold. And our sneakers, I think warm socks is the necessity and some comfortable shoes.
Comfy over chic, always.
Yes. Well, those are all of our game day must-haves. I know I'll be bringing some of these to the Whiteout game this weekend. Up next, El Rey will be interviewing Penn State's women's soccer player, Maddie Myers. For Nittany Talk, I'm Katherine Schreiner.
To club national championships there with the Michigan Hawks. And through that, through the recruiting process, I found myself here at Penn State, which was an absolute dream.
Hi, and welcome back to Nittany Talk. I'm El Rey, and today I have the honor of interviewing Penn State women's soccer team's defender, Maddie Myers. Maddie, thank you so much for being with me today. How's school going so far? It's mid-semester.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Being a fifth year, I'm in limited classes, so luckily I'm not that stressed out, but so far it's been pretty good.
That's good. So let's get to talking about soccer and the game. So how are you feeling so far about the season?
I'm feeling good. Obviously, season's very long. You always have ups and downs, but so far through almost all of Big Ten play, I'm really confident in the team. It's been a great showing so far. We've had some really big wins, and I'm excited to see how we do moving into postseason.
That's great. And does your team have any sort of pregame essentials or rituals? Like, what do you guys do?
We actually take one of the Penn State blue school buses from our locker room to the field, and we have chants and a bunch of songs we sing. So I would say that would be the main team ritual.
That's so much fun. What's your guys' go-to song or favorite song?
Well, we sing I don't know. Most of them are made up, but in the locker room we always do the Cotton Eye Joe. As a group before we play, which is a lot of fun.
That's great. I bet it definitely gets your guys' body moving and gets the energy really flowing on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
So every player has a story. What is yours?
So I'm from a small town, Ada, Michigan. I have grown up playing soccer, loved it my whole life. I played other sports as well, but in the 8th grade I decided to transfer to a club that was 2 hours away from my hometown. In order to pursue playing college soccer. So I played for them, and thankfully I was able to win 2 club national championships there with the Michigan Hawks. And through that, through the recruiting process, I found myself here at Penn State, which was an absolute dream.
So obviously Michigan Hawks has a big role in you getting to the collegiate level. What would you say was the biggest role that they played?
Yeah, my coaches were unbelievable. I think in club athletics today, the landscape has really changed. Women's soccer is obviously at the center of a lot of controversies right now. But for me, I had coaches that invested in me. I had coaches that took me as this little girl that didn't know a ton and elevated me to be able to play at the highest level. And I think they just helped drive my confidence all the way through my club experience.
That's really great. I feel like coaches, they really play a big role in an athlete's life, especially when they're 4, even to now being a 5th year senior.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're number 10. Mm-hmm. Does that number have a sort of meaning to you? Is it just a number you picked? What is the background to that?
Yeah, so obviously 10 is a coveted number within soccer, but for me personally, I have 2 siblings that are younger than me. My sister actually plays Division I college soccer as well. Wow. So we share the number together, and we are also the same position. So when I left high school and club, I was fortunate enough to be given it here, or it was available here. So I wanted to continue that tradition on with my sister.
That's great. And in high school and club, was that also your number?
Yeah. So pretty much when I was really young, I had different numbers, but starting when I got serious at the club level, from around 8th grade on, I was number 10.
That's great that you were able to really carry that on and share that with your sister. Mm-hmm. So you were involved in the Big Ten tournament team multiple times. What has been your experience with those teams?
Yeah, winning a Big Ten tournament or winning the Big Ten championship at all is such an honor. Each team is different, I would say, but my experience through all of it is obviously I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity. A lot of people in their lives don't have it at all, and for me to have 3 is quite an honor. I would say overall the experience is unforgettable, and it's an unreal thing to be a part of.
Did you have a certain takeaway or a special memory from playing on those teams?
I think my biggest takeaway is just like no one can do it alone. Like in order to win, you actually truly need everyone in the sport of soccer. So I would say that would be my biggest takeaway. And then my greatest memory is just like all the celebrations, like the feeling you have when the final minute is over and you actually win a Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I can only imagine the joy that you all feel when you work that hard and you're finally able to pull off the big victory.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, unforgettable.
Yeah. So you're currently a defender on the team. Have you always been a defender?
No, so I've actually kind of played all over. Basically, when I came here, I didn't have a permanent position. I was like just wherever you need me. I've played center back. I've played outside forward. I've played center forward. All over the place. So my first 2 years, I was an outside forward, and then my junior year, we had a outside back go down, unfortunately. And so I was moved there, and I've just stayed there ever since. And I think it's actually probably the best fit for me.
Yeah, is that the position that you played throughout your club experience in high school?
Sometimes, like, I was always a wide player, but I wasn't necessarily a back, but I would say on and off, yeah.
Is that your favorite position, or do you enjoy kind of just floating and being able to take over any position?
Yeah, I think having stability these past 3 years has been enormous, so I would say, yeah, I think it's the right fit. I would say it's my favorite position as of now, but I wouldn't trade my time kind of being all over the place because I was able to take a lot of lessons from a bunch of different roles.
Absolutely. And I know I was a soccer player throughout high school and everything, and it was always fun when you would get thrown into a really weird position and you're just kind of like, all right, let's just make this fun.
Yeah.
What do you feel is the most enjoyable position to play, disregarding talent, or, if you play there a lot, what do you feel is the most enjoyable for you?
Well, that's an interesting question. I would say that, honestly, my current role as an outside back is the most enjoyable, although we don't get all the glory ever, like, we're not scoring goals. I think it's rewarding to, like, 1v1 defend, to block crosses, to block shots. I think it's a very selfless position, and I think that sometimes is more meaningful than all the glory.
Absolutely. So, how are you feeling so far about your senior season? You're in your senior year. I bet you have mixed emotions. How is that going for you? Yeah,
it's definitely crazy. Like, I feel like I was a freshman yesterday, and I definitely think some days you're like, oh my gosh, like it's coming to an end. But I also think just living in the moment and enjoying every practice, every game is really all you can do at this point, because even though it's incredibly sad that it's going to be over soon, I just want to enjoy like every day that I have with my friends and with the staff and with the program, because I don't want to like regret not living in the moment, and I don't want to regret anything that happens like this year.
Absolutely. And what has been your fondest moment, whether that be, throughout senior season so far, or even starting as a freshman?
Yeah. Well, there's so many. Like, I think any moment I get to spend with my best friends is awesome. But for me personally, I think my fondest memory was actually last year. We didn't have the year that we wanted to have, but we ended up in the Sweet 16. But we played USC in the round of 32, Southern California, and I think the team win and like the amount of energy that it took from everybody to win that game in PKs, and like the fight that it took from all of us, I would say that specifically is one of them. And then also winning the Big Ten in 2020 COVID year, because that was my first year that I got to start throughout a season. So I would say like just having that experience and truly contributing in a very large way was also a very fond memory of mine.
Absolutely. And you mentioned COVID. You went through your time with that. How are you coming out of it, and how did that affect your playing?
Yeah, COVID was really interesting because we were like here, but we couldn't hang out, and I think it definitely had a large effect on our program and on our team, but coming out of it, I think we came out of it very strong.
It's really great that you guys are able to come out of it strong and you're moving forward healthy and happy. Well, that's all the time we have here today with Miss Maddie Myers. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us next week for more Nittany Talk. I'm El Ray. Thank you for watching.